What if everything you thought you knew about Cleopatra was a lie? What if the seductive queen who captivated Julius Caesar and Mark Antony wasn't the exotic beauty history painted her as, but rather a woman carrying the weight of centuries of inbreeding? A woman whose very DNA held secrets darker than any conspiracy. Right now, deep beneath the Egyptian desert, archaeologists are racing to uncover a tomb that could rewrite history. And what they're finding is absolutely horrifying. This is the untold story of Cleopatra's curse. For over 2,000 years, Cleopatra has been immortalized as the ultimate symbol of beauty, power, and seduction. Hollywood gave us Elizabeth Taylor, draped in gold. Ancient historians described her as irresistible, but here's what they didn't tell you. Cleopatra was the product of one of the most disturbing family trees in human history. The Ptolemaic dynasty didn't just encourage inbreeding, they celebrated it. Brothers married sisters. Uncles married nieces. For 300 years, this cycle continued. And Cleopatra was its final, deadly masterpiece. But one woman believes she can prove the truth. Her name is Kathleen Martínez, and she spent the last 2 decades obsessed with one mission: finding Cleopatra's tomb. What she's discovered could change everything we thought we knew about the last pharaoh of Egypt. Kathleen Martínez isn't your typical archaeologist. She's a lawyer turned tomb hunter, driven by an unshakable conviction that everyone got it wrong. While the world assumed Cleopatra was buried somewhere in Alexandria, Martínez had a different theory. She believed Cleopatra orchestrated her own burial according to ancient Osiris rituals, hiding her final resting place from Roman conquerors who wanted to parade her body through the streets of Rome. Her search led her to Taposiris Magna, a crumbling temple complex 28 miles west of Alexandria. "They all laughed at me," Martínez later recalled. The Egyptian authorities, other archaeologists, everyone told her she was wasting her time, but Martínez was relentless. She studied ancient texts obsessively. She mapped underground chambers. She refused to give up. And then, after years of digging through sand and skepticism, she found something that made the entire archaeological world hold its breath. A massive tunnel system stretching deep beneath the temple. Inside, mummies adorned with golden amulets, coins bearing Cleopatra's face, evidence of elaborate burial rituals. This wasn't just another ancient site. This was a place of royal significance. Martínez believes she's standing right above Cleopatra's tomb. And if she's right, we're about to uncover secrets that have been buried for over 2 millennia. But before we can find Cleopatra, we need to understand who she really was. And that's where the story takes a disturbing turn. In 1929, archaeologists excavated a tomb in Ephesus, Turkey. Inside, they found skeletal remains believed to belong to Arsinoe Phorphoi, Cleopatra's younger sister, the sister she had murdered. For decades, this skeleton sat in storage, forgotten. Then, in the early 2000s, a team of scientists decided to analyze the bones using cutting-edge DNA technology. The results were shocking. The skeleton showed signs of African ancestry, suggesting that Cleopatra herself might have had African heritage. News outlets exploded with headlines. Documentaries were produced. The narrative of Cleopatra's identity was being rewritten in real time. But here's where it gets even stranger. Further analysis revealed a bombshell. The skeleton wasn't Arsinoe at all. It belonged to a young boy, aged around 13 to 15 years old. The entire foundation of the African Cleopatra theory crumbled overnight. Scientists were back to square one, and the mystery of Cleopatra's true lineage deepened. If that wasn't her sister, then what did Cleopatra actually look like? What was her genetic makeup? And more importantly, what horrors was she hiding in her bloodline? To understand Cleopatra's DNA, you need to understand the Ptolemaic dynasty's obsession with keeping bloodlines pure. When Alexander the Great died in 323 BC, his general Ptolemy seized control of Egypt. He established a dynasty that would rule for 3 centuries, and he set a precedent that would doom his descendants. Royal siblings must marry each other. This wasn't just tradition, it was law. Ptolemy II married his full sister, Arsinoe II. Their son, Ptolemy III, married his cousin. The pattern continued, generation after generation, in an endless loop of genetic catastrophe. By the time Cleopatra was born in 69 BC, her family tree looked less like a tree and more like a tangled web of horror. Let's be brutally honest about what this means. Cleopatra's parents were likely siblings or close relatives. Her grandparents, same story. Going back 10 generations, researchers estimate that Cleopatra had fewer than 50 unique ancestors, when she should have had over 1,000. Her genetic diversity was nearly non-existent. The coefficient of inbreeding in the Ptolemaic line was higher than almost any other royal family in history, rivaling even the notorious Habsburgs of Europe. The Habsburgs give us a glimpse into what Cleopatra might have faced. Charles II of Spain, the final Habsburg king, couldn't chew his own food due to his deformed jaw. He was impotent, mentally disabled, and died at 38 after a lifetime of illness. His autopsy revealed a body ravaged by genetic defects. His heart was the size of a peppercorn, his intestines were rotted, and he had only 1 testicle. This is what 3 centuries of inbreeding creates. So the question becomes, did Cleopatra suffer the same fate? Ancient accounts describe her as intelligent, charismatic, and politically brilliant. But they also mention something curious. She was not conventionally beautiful. Plutarch himself wrote that her beauty was not in itself incomparable. Roman coins depicting her show a woman with a prominent nose and a strong chin, features that could suggest genetic abnormalities. But here's what ancient historians couldn't see: the invisible damage. Modern geneticists studying royal inbreeding have identified a horrifying list of potential afflictions Cleopatra likely suffered. Immune system deficiencies, increased risk of mental illness, hormonal imbalances, cardiovascular problems, reduced fertility. The list goes on. Some historians have speculated that Cleopatra's famous temperament, her dramatic decisions, even her suicide, could be partially explained by underlying mental health conditions caused by inbreeding. Depression, anxiety, and mood disorders run rampant in inbred populations. Her reported relationship with alcohol might have been self-medication for conditions she didn't understand and doctors couldn't treat. Then there's her fertility. Despite having relationships with the 2 most powerful men in Rome, Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, Cleopatra only had 4 children over nearly 2 decades. For a woman desperate to secure her dynasty through heirs, this is suspiciously low. Was her ability to conceive compromised by her genetic makeup? Perhaps most tragically, the children she did have likely inherited her genetic burdens. Caesarion, her son with Julius Caesar, was executed at 17. Her twins with Mark Antony disappeared from historical records. Only her daughter, Cleopatra Selene, survived to adulthood. 1 out of 4 children. The curse of the Ptolemies didn't end with Cleopatra. It was passed down like a poison through generations. Back at Taposiris Magna, Kathleen Martínez is closer than ever to the truth. Her team has discovered a network of tunnels that extend 2 kilometers beneath the temple. They found evidence of flooding from ancient tsunamis, which might have buried Cleopatra's tomb deeper than anyone imagined. They've unearthed artifacts that directly connect the site to royal burial practices. But here's the thing about finding Cleopatra's tomb. It's not just about gold and treasure. If Martínez finds Cleopatra's remains, scientists could extract DNA, they could sequence her genome. They could definitively answer the questions that have haunted historians for centuries. What did she really look like? What was her ethnic background? And most importantly, what genetic horrors was she carrying? The Egyptian government has given Martínez permission to continue excavating. Every month, her team goes deeper. Every month, they find new evidence. The discovery could come tomorrow, next year, or never. But the possibility hangs in the air, like electricity before a storm. So was Cleopatra, a genetic miracle, who somehow escaped the devastating effects of inbreeding? Or was she a medical victim, suffering in silence from afflictions she could never name, putting on a mask of power while her body betrayed her from within? The truth is probably somewhere in between. Cleopatra was brilliant enough to rule Egypt, seduce Rome, and nearly change the course of Western civilization, but she was also human. A human with a corrupted bloodline. A human whose DNA carried the weight of 3 centuries of family sin. One day, when Martínez's excavation breaks through that final layer of stone and sand, we'll know for certain. Until then, Cleopatra remains what she's always been. A mystery wrapped in gold, buried beneath the desert, waiting to reveal her darkest secret. The question isn't whether we'll find her. The question is, are we ready for what we'll discover? If this video made you question everything you thought you knew about ancient Egypt, hit that subscribe button, because history's biggest secrets are still waiting to be uncovered. And trust me, Cleopatra's story is just the beginning.